Hello, this is Connor Picken and this is my media podcast. Today we will be looking at the question, how effective is the combination of my main product and ancillary tasks? My three products are a TV documentary Extract, which is about classical music. However, the series is about young creatives going into creative industries. I've also got a double-page TV listings magazine and a newspaper advert. I wanted to start by looking at what institutions would distribute my media, but also how my media links in offline and online. Regarding to my TV documentary, I believe that BBC would be the best institution to distribute my media. This is because in the past BBC have released TV documentaries about the creative industries, such as the show What Do Artists Do All Day, where they take you to a life of an artist and show their daily routine. This was a big inspiration for my show, but instead I created a series on how those young creators get into the industries and make it a profession, which I think is something BBC would definitely distribute. However, this is not a form of offline media, as I believe BBC Three would be the best channel to distribute my media. This is not like normal terrestrial television channels, as it is online. BBC Three is targeted at digital natives like myself and my primary younger target audience. Therefore, I believe it best suits my series. However, I have not only used online media, I have also used offline print media for my ancillary tasks. My double-page magazine spread, alongside my newspaper advert, are still very relevant, even though they're in offline media, as it helps to get the documentary out there into a wider audience. Although print media is very important, it is still useful to be able to publish my work online, as so many magazines are doing nowadays, such as Local Wolves, an online magazine for the young creators of today's society. I could see my magazine fitting in there, and I would do this by having conventions or a magazine online spread using the format PDF. Although my target audience may fit a TV listings magazine, because the certain extract is predominantly about an older classical musician, I also have a primary younger audience and a younger musician later in the episode. Therefore, I believe it could fit in either the print or online media. For my main product, having the platform of online really helped, as it allowed me to share my documentary and get it out to a wider audience that might not have been able to see it otherwise. I posted it on services such as YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook and Twitter. These all allowed me to take my film further, engage a bigger, wider audience. I can also target my audience at different age groups. This is done by using certain hashtags, such as next-gen filmmakers, young filmmakers, and art documentaries. These allow me to target different audiences to see that will pop up and will be able to see my film. It is also shown in certain studies that older members of today's society are reading online media in the morning, whereas younger audiences are often online later in the day. Therefore, I can post my adverts, my social media campaigns and my film at different times of the day to target different audiences. Like my younger primary audience, I will post it later in the day. However, if I was wanting getting an older audience, I would maybe release the media campaign early in the morning. The main reason behind my documentary was to give an insight into how the creative industries today work for young creatives. I think that the magazine allowed me to share it to an older audience in the traditional listings way. However, having it online also meant I could reach two different target audiences, and then the newspaper advert, as it does not give too much away, gains interest from the public, and especially young creatives because of the way it is visually created. My final product, which is the main part, and actually was really important because having my main TV documentary at the end, which is an online form of media, but also having my newspaper advert, which is print media, and my magazine, which could be print or online media, was really important in the way the three work together and come together to hold a complete campaign to share my film to a wider audience for my primary audience and my secondary audience. However, I also believe that there are weaknesses within my product. Regarding my main product, The interview slightly suffered, as I had to run 2 cameras, 2 mics. This made it difficult. However, some people suggested that from audience feedback, the narrative was too jumpy and slightly hard to follow, which is something that I will work on in the future, and maybe I'll bring a second cameraman who has prior experience, as although I did have someone to help me on the day, they weren't very familiar with the technical side of filming. So if I was to film again, I would bring a bigger crew and more people so I could really focus on the storyline and not have to worry about much on the technical side. Looking at my magazine spread, I believe it is very effective, talking about how hard John Cullis worked, who was my subject of the TV extract. However, it does not really feature much about the series as a whole. However, this might be a positive, because it gives more of an insight to the type of things that I will be covering within the series itself. It does not show what is to come, which is something that I might redo in the future. However, although my magazine does not cover the series as a whole, this is when my newspaper ad is very effective, because it gives a brief, sharp, but engaging insight to the series as a whole. And then if someone would want to find out more, they could go to my magazine article, which gives a more in-depth, niche insight to what is going on in the series, which will really engage them, to then attract them to the final product, which is obviously the TV documentary series, where they'll watch and be engaged. This shows how it's important how my products work together offline and online to come together to be able to gain different audiences, wide, young and old. My newspaper advert could be argued is too brief and does not give enough insight into the series. This is because of the placement of my images, and it might change in the future to allow me to become more info on my newspaper advert and less photography based. I also looked at examples, which was really pivotal for my research within looking at TV documentary series, but also not for my main product, for my other 2 as well. The TV show on Netflix called Abstract, I was inspired by. This is an art TV show where they look at different creative industries, but professionals within that, and they explain their day-to-day routine, slightly like What Do Artists Do All Day in BBC Three. I looked at the conventions of it and made sure I had those core values within mine to make the audience realise that they will be watching a TV documentary, but I also looked at some so I could challenge them. I had 2 main target audiences, my primary target audience and my secondary. My primary target audience were younger creators between the age of 14 to 25. I've chosen from 14 because after reading lots of studies, it is the age where younger members of today's society start to gain interest from general studies into more specific niche educational studies and interests. And then 25, because that is the usual age where most people have achieved a career and are not looking as to help and tips on how to get into a certain industry. I attracted this audience by interviewing young creatives in my documentary series and having it on BBC Three, which is targeted at a younger online audience. My secondary audience, which is people kind of 45 plus, this was because I believe that older men and women who have already had a career in the creative industry may be interested and see how it has changed, and I attracted them by having older creatives within the documentary, and also posting social media campaigns on earlier times of the day and having offline media on newspapers, which has connotations of slightly older members of today's society watching and reading. I've chosen BBC Three because I believe nowadays people want more kind of snappy and quick shows in shorter periods of time, because people are busier and people's attention spans are reducing due to social media and them usually having kind of short videos on YouTube and TV shows and not having full-length documentaries anymore. BBC Three is an online short documentary series, allows me to portray what I wanted in a world where younger audiences are not as focused for long periods of time. However, my older target audiences, who are interested in creative, may not like this, and maybe would have liked a longer piece in the end. As I've only done the first 5 minutes, this was my brief, I could continue to be a 3-part, 20-minute long segment. Finally, I believe my film is a very strong form of media, which is online, but allows young creatives and older creatives to come to it through my use of my newspaper, print, and my magazine, which can be offline and online. My newspaper advert may suit younger generations as it is snappy and shorter, however, it also might suit my second target audience, which is slightly older members of society, because it is print media, which is often associated with the older members of today's society. This was the evaluation of the effectiveness of the combination of my main product and my ancillary tasks. Thank you very much.